Yo, what's good, everyone? This is Ayo Boxing with Madiba, and we're here to talk about if Tszyu can beat Jermell Charlo. As we all know, Tszyu just smoked Tony Harrison this past weekend and has cemented himself as a legitimate contender at 154. Beating Harrison the way Tim did has validated and emboldened the Australian fans. However, the undisputed champion, Jermell Charlo, was not particularly impressed with this victory. The Charlo vs Tim fight is next, and it's even bigger and more interesting than before. Many people now believe that Tim will beat Charlo. So the question that I have is, can Tim actually beat Charlo? Personally, I believe it will be a very competitive and entertaining fight, but I believe that Charlo will beat Tim. However, there's a chance of an upset, and I won't rule that out. The reason why I think this fight will be competitive is because of their styles. Charlo is a boxer-puncher with an emphasis on puncher. He can fight toe-to-toe, and he can box and move. He has good defense and a sturdy chin. He's a dangerous counterpuncher with power, and he has a good, stiff jab. Furthermore, Charlo is capable of making adjustments, whether it's in the ring or in rematches. Tszyu is a pressure fighter with power. He applies intelligent pressure, has great punch selection, he's a sharp counterpuncher, he throws beautiful combinations, and he does his best work when he puts his opponents on the ropes. And to my knowledge, Tim has a sturdy chin as well. This fight will be similar to Charlo vs Castano because Tim has a lot of similarities with Castano. Tim and Castano are both pressure fighters that like to use the high guard. Castano throws more punches than Tim, but Tim is a better counterpuncher. Additionally, Tim is taller and has a longer reach compared to Castano. Those similarities between Tim and Castano is why I think Charlo would beat Tim, but it's also the reason why I think Tim could upset Charlo. The first Charlo vs Castano fight was close, but most people thought that Castano beat Charlo and was robbed. In that fight, Castano was able to apply pressure and put Charlo on the ropes. Charlo would also try to bait and counter Castano by backing into the ropes. Either way, Charlo being on the ropes benefited Castano's pressure style. Castano was able to land big punches and combinations. Castano even hurt Charlo in the third round. We've seen how devastating and productive Tim can be when he successfully applies pressure and puts his opponents on the ropes. We just saw it in the fight against Tony Harrison. If Tim can do that to Charlo, Charlo will be in big trouble, especially since Tim seems to have more power than Castano based on the respective KO ratios and on the eye test. However, in the second Charlo vs Castano fight, Charlo stopped Castano in the 10th round in devastating fashion. You could clearly see the improvements and adjustments that Charlo made in order to beat Castano. Instead of spending too much time on the ropes, Charlo boxed and moved more in this fight. The times he did find himself on the ropes, he would either fight off the ropes, clinch and smother Castano, and/or use his footwork to escape off the ropes. Charlo's counterpunching, especially the left hook and the jab, were very effective in this fight. We've seen how effective the jab can be against Tim. Harrison was jabbing the shit out of Tim, and Goucher was also able to land his jab. Unlike Harrison, Charlo would definitely let his right hand go and throw combinations after throwing his jab. Furthermore, when Harrison did start using his legs to move, that made him a harder target for Tim to hit compared to when Harrison was flat-footed. Charlo's jabs and counterpunching off the back foot and lateral movement was very effective against Castano, which probably means it'll be very effective against Tim. And you also have to consider that the ring will be bigger than what was used in the Tim vs Harrison fight, so that will favor Charlo. Castano did have some success counterpunching Charlo with his right hand in the rematch. Tim has a very good right hand counter, so he could definitely have some success with that punch as well. But if Charlo can apply the same strategies he used in the Castano rematch against Tim, he can definitely beat Tim. The main concern I have about this fight though is the long layoff that Charlo has had. By the time they eventually fight, Charlo would be out the ring for more than a year, and he'll also be coming off a hand injury. Tim, on the other hand, would have no ring rust. Inactivity can affect the boxer's performance, and Charlo cannot afford to be less than 100% fighting Tszyu. If that does happen, we'll see Charlo in another rematch. But who knows, this is boxing, anything can happen. But thank you for tuning in with Ayo Boxing with Madiba, Hit like and subscribe, and more content's coming your way.